Laure. I'm VP Analytics and AI at DAILYMOTION, and super happy to talk today about our journey of building a production AI agentic platform at DAILYMOTION. So, to start, let's just remind everyone what is DAILYMOTION ecosystem. At DAILYMOTION, we are a social destination platform. So we have a website, an app, we have content creators and users. We have also our own video player technology that generates billion views a month across thousands of premium publishers worldwide. We also have our own ad tech stack, and we act as an advertising sales house, meaning that we help brands and advertisers reach real outcomes with the campaigns that we deliver. And we've been building that expertise for 20 years now, but of course the market evolves, and today there is a reality in the advertising landscape where consumers' behavior are changing super fast, meaning that you almost have to answer a client's brief in real time. Also, because we are overwhelmed or overstimulated with advertising, each campaign, each creative has to be unique so that you can catch the user's attention. And last but not least, the clients, they need to be sure they can trust you, especially in a world with so many tools, so many different data sources, and now with AI. So your data has to be super robust. And especially with AI, we know that the power of AI really lies in the integrity and the depth of the data that feeds it. So to answer this market reality, and in an industry that is reshaped by AI, we first started to run some POCs, so proof of concepts, to develop AI-powered features or to automate workflows. So for instance, we created an agent called AI Twin, with which you can actually interact as if it was a persona, so it replaces market research. We also created a feature that transforms a brief into a set of websites on which you could potentially deliver your campaign, and a lot more. And actually, this proved us that we could really create more value for our clients with AI, and that we could do that faster. But having scattered smart features wasn't enough. So we quickly realized that we needed a product in production that would allow us to orchestrate, automate, and link the entire advertising lifecycle from the brief generation to the campaign activation and measurement. We really needed a comprehensive solution capable of making decisions and taking action. And this is actually the whole definition of Agentic AI. If you take today GenAI solution that they can create amazing content that will help you achieve your goal, but they are not going to achieve your goal. And this is how Ray was born. So this is Ray. And before we dig into the tech architecture and the tech part of the presentation, I just wanted to highlight our main foundations for that product. So first, at Dailymotion, we're lucky to have a strong AI partnership with Google. So it gives us access to top performance model. And we also bring together 20 years of expertise across different domains. And those domains are actually the sources that are feeding Ray's agents. So to mention a few, we have videos and content understanding. So videos, it's the core of our business. And those are actually the first link to our data in Ray, because we have machine learning models that can classify our content with IAB categories. So IAB categories, it's a standard in the advertising market, and topics, which is a more granular way to classify our content. We have also our first-party data to understand video and user consumption pattern and to monitor campaign performances. We have a huge database of creatives because we have our own studio team that actually analyze video ad experiences through neuroscience KPIs, and they also actually enrich ad formats for our clients. And of course, we have a strong knowledge of our clients and industries. So all of those are actually the foundations that allows Ray to provide actionable strategies. And now I will give the mic to Nicolas, who is leading the tech vision of Ray.
Hey, everyone. So my goal today is to try to explain to you how we have built this Ray platform and what's happening behind the scenes. So you understood what we are looking to do is generate marketing campaigns that actually include all the data that is available in Dailymotion systems. So this is the real audience data in real time, that what's happening on the Dailymotion platform that we want to leverage through Ray. So at the top, we have the UI interface Ray, which communicates with one infrastructure layer with our AI conversation manager. So this one is basically the orchestrator of all the communication between the users and the agents. Behind it, we have the AI agents and AI tools. So this is part of the paradigm of AI function calling. So an AI agent is basically a piece of software capable to receive a user message and send back responses. So it's conversational. The tool is basically the ability to call a function, whatever it is. It might be like calling an API, calling some data, whatever. This is typically an MCP server. And both of them are basically interacting with our Dailymotion system data. And below it, the infrastructure that we are currently using, GCP, Vertex. So Vertex is a GCP service exposing their AI models, so Gemini, Imagen, VO3, etc. And we will speak a bit about monitoring and observability. We have two platforms we're using for that, Datadog and LangSmith. And yeah, I think we can move.
Yes, so I will give a short demo of one part of Ray that it illustrates a little bit what Nicolas is explaining, and it will illustrate the next slides. So here I am on the land page of Ray. I enter a brief. So here my brief is for Alpine, which is launching a new campaign in France to promote their new electric car, and it actually targets drivers who value both driving excitement and environmental responsibility. I click on Create, and then you will have a first agent that will help you refine the brief. So make sure the brief is relevant enough to generate the next step. Once the brief is generated, you have another agent that will generate a brand analysis, so you understand well the positioning and the messaging behind the brand. And then from there, we will have our first connection to our data. So we will connect those two outputs with our topics and IAB categories database, and the agent will propose a list of those categories that the user can select and select. And once the selection is done, then it will analyze again our data to generate personas. And for each persona, so let's take the first one, I have a complete overview of that audience. Demographics, main interest, video interest, purchase intention, search keywords, etc. So everything is based on our data. Then I can chat with the persona, so it's the agent I was mentioning before. We really integrated that into the product, so I can ask questions, I can see how they react to my message. And then if I'm happy with it, I generate the activation strategy. So here I will get my reach, media mix, on which devices I can target my campaign, on which moment of the day, etc. And from there, we can actually directly activate the campaign.
Okay, so we'll try to dip a bit deeper. So you saw the demo. We have a screen with two panels, one main panel and a chat panel on the right. The main panel is actually interacting with our generated targeting strategy data through a REST API. This is basically what was happening before AI. You can get the data, retrieve the data, display it here. You can possibly manually modify it, send a post request, and you modify the data into database. And so now with AI, we're adding all this on top of it. So yeah, thankfully, it was meant to make our life easier. So we have this conversation manager. So anytime you send a message in just chat, you are actually interacting here. When we send this user message, it's sent to a targeting assistant. This one is a supervisor. So it's a React agent that is responsible to plan the tasks to execute to generate the targeting strategy and to delegate it to specialized agents and tools. Our specialized agents are here. So for each block of data that we have on the targeting strategy data, so here is your advertising brief, here is a brand analysis, and if you scroll down, you would have the other blocks. We have one specialized agent responsible to generate the data for it. And a part of those specialized agents, typically the topics agent, persona agent, activation strategy agent, are interacting with Dailymotion data. So those ones are sourcing data from Dailymotion systems. They are basically prompts with the data that they need to generate, and they can pass it to the supervisor. The supervisor can then call an edit and apply strategy tool that enables it to store the data into the targeting strategy data. The specialized agents are never interacting with the database themselves. They are just generating data. And the supervisor or targeting assistant is responsible to then store it through a tool call. An important part is this arrow here. It's anytime the targeting assistant needs to make a decision on what are the next tasks to accomplish, it's actually loading the current state of the generated data. And load it from the exact same place where we are also manually, where we are getting the data from the REST API. So this ensures that we can have a synchronicity between what is displayed on the main panel and what will be accessible to the agent when I'm speaking into the chat. I think we can move to the next slide. And so we'll try to dig one step deeper. So what's happening there? As a user, I can send a message to the conversation manager. The conversation manager will then route the message to an agent. So here, in the user message, we have a content, as X is launching a campaign, for example. We pass an agent, which is who should process this user message. We also have some technical fields that enable us to pass contextual data, so typically the targeting strategy IDs that we are operating on, and some conversation ID, which is for the conversation database, in what conversation do I want to store my user message. So this is routed to the targeting assistant because we pass targeting assistant here. The targeting assistant, when receiving the message, it will first load its conversation and contextual data from the conversational database. And second, it will load the current state of the generated data. Here it will build its prompts. So thanks to this data, call the LLM, in our case Gemini, get back the response, and send the response back to the conversation manager. So what can the response be? Here we see an example. So it can typically be an action message. So I want to perform a new operation. So in our case, in this example, for example, calling the edit and apply strategy to store the data, the updated targeting strategy data. It's passed with tool input, also with some technical fields, and it passes an assistant message, which is basically textual content that you want to display to the user. So I need to store the updated data. So those messages are getting back to the conversation manager, and that's where this will basically run the orchestration of everything, is that those messages will be then routed back to the agent or tool that is expected to process this message. So typically, this message action will get back into the routing system, be routed to another tool which is not displayed here, that will save the data into the generated data database. Obviously, the conversation manager is always notifying the user anytime new messages are getting into the, been sent by our agents. And maybe another part which is important, when it comes to authentication and security. So basically, when we were going through a REST API, we were managing oaths at the REST API level. We were accessing the data there, and it was kind of synchronous call, so let's say easy to do. But now we have this agent running in the background that will also access this data. And obviously, we need the same security, like making sure that when a user here sends a message to this targeting assistant, that this user cannot access or modify data that is not expected to access or modify. So we need to also implement some permission mechanisms at the agent level to make sure that basically we maintain the same security and the same permissions so that this user cannot access data that is not supposed to access. And I think that's it for this slide. Speaking a bit about observability and monitoring, for the ones that were here during the previous talk, this is exactly what it was about. So we are using two platforms, LangSmith, Datadog. LangSmith is for agent tracing. So basically, it's what enables us to monitor the exact behavior of an agent call, which is actually multiple calls that are happening in the background. And so thanks to LangSmith, we can basically monitor everything of the behavior of the agent. What were the input passed? What has been called? With what prompt? With what template? With what prompt template, etc., which is very important for us to investigate when we are getting errors or when we are getting an agent behavior which was unexpected. So this one is very important, I would say, in the development process and review of the agent behavior and be able to understand, okay, I'm getting a problem there, or actually this problem was coming from this special agent in the middle that was not answering what we were expected. On the right, Datadog is mainly for token consumption. So token is basically what drives the cost of your platforms. And so being able to monitor how much token you are consuming is the way for you to understand your costs, basically, and be able to iterate, optimize to make your platform more efficient. Quickly, programming language, we built that with Go because the main reason was that actually all the team was more expert in Go than in other languages such as Python or TypeScript. For AI agents, we use a framework named ANO, and to access Vertex, we use Google Go GenAI API SDK, which is, I recommend it. We can move to the next slide.
So to conclude the presentation, we wanted to share a few recommendations based on what we've been learning so far and that we still learn, especially on the approach to adopt. Because all those technologies, they are moving super fast and changing a lot, and the people and resources, they are not 100% mature on those. It is very okay to start with some unknown, and you have to embrace actually the unknown. It's okay not to have the perfect product discovery, not to have the perfect product design before starting. And then you enter, you shift your mindset, and you shift to a mindset when you propose ideas, you test, you learn, you iterate. And this is what works actually. And for Ray, what we did and what I personally, as the product manager of Ray, valued a lot, in that engineers can also have product ideas, can challenge the proposed design, and PMs or stakeholders, they can do some prompting because they know best the expected outcomes. So we really shifted from an approach where the product team does the perfect specs and the engineering team execute to a very nice and intense collaborative mindset and bold thinking mindset where we talk a lot, we share ideas, and actually I think we meet every day for this product with the whole team. So, and this is what also makes the power of the product.
Yes, and a quick word that it's more related to the way AI is affecting our ways of working, especially as engineers. And I feel like it's basically inviting us to be more creative and less executing things. At least to me, this is something that I have experienced, that since I am using Cursor and all this type of generation stuff, so I can be much more into being creative, having new ideas, and then getting the AI to execute it and apply it. And yeah, so I'm in the end just saying that I don't feel like we will be replaced by AI. But it will maybe just change the way we work, and maybe in a way which is a bit more human in the end, about creativity and innovation and having ideas.
Thank you for your time. Thank you, Nicolas.